Hey everybody, thanks for joining me today for another fun art project. I'm Miss Amy, and today we'll be doing one called Sunset in Oil Pastels. So we're going to create a beautiful sunset sky and do a really cool blending technique for this project. So if you look behind me, I have an example of one hanging in the top corner there. So we're going to use oil pastels to create a picture similar to that. So what you'll need for this project is some heavier weight paper. I'm using mixed media paper, but if you want to use watercolor paper or even some cardstock, that would be fine. I wouldn't use just regular paper because we'll be putting some baby oil on our paper and we don't want it to soak through really badly. So some thicker white paper would be great. And then definitely some oil pastels. A little bit of baby oil, and then I have a little container to put my baby oil in. Some scratching tools. I have some wood sticks. You could also use toothpicks. Those will work fine. And then a bunch of Q-tips. So I have my little baggie of Q-tips there. You'll want quite a few of those. And then some paper towels also. So let's get started with this project. We want to put our paper in landscape direction in front of us. And I see that I already have a little bit of oil pastel that colored on my paper. That's okay, we're going to color right over that. So I'm going to go ahead and pick out some colors that I really want to put in my sunset sky. And definitely I would like some yellow, and for that maybe some orange, maybe even a little bit of red, and some green, light green, maybe even some blue. I have a really pretty turquoise blue I want to use, and then maybe some purple, maybe some real dark purple in the very sky. And that's what I'm going to use. You pick out colors you want. You don't have to use exactly the same as mine, but you will definitely want some lighter ones for lower on your paper or closer to where the sun would be setting, and then the darker colors away from the sun. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my yellow, my lightest color first. I'm going to go in order of light to dark. And I'm just going to start coloring on my paper, and I'm going to keep my lighter colors more down. I'm not going to go probably past halfway on my paper with the lighter colors. But hang on. If you wipe your dirty oil pastel on like a paper towel, it'll clean it, and then you won't get streaks of color in it. There we go. All right, and so when I'm coloring, I just want to use short strokes close together, and I use a little bit of pressure so that I get a nice solid color without having a lot of my white paper show through. So I'm going to go ahead and and don't worry, if you do have a little bit of white paper, we're going to take care of that later. We'll hide that with the special blending technique we're going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and put a big splotch of yellow kind of right in the middle towards the bottom. Just color that all in. Cover as much white as I can. All right. Now I'm going to put that aside and take my orange now. And then when I add my orange, though, I'm going to color into my yellow a little bit. I want to overlap those colors and then put my orange out here. I think that's all the orange on that side. I'm going to add some orange on this side, going ahead overlapping into my yellow. What I'm going to do with my yellow is I'm going to come in and just go into my orange just a little bit with my yellow. So I want to make sure that I'm overlapping, getting those colors kind of blending, especially where they cross, so I don't have that sharp line. It kind of blends them together a little bit. So if you color over where the two colors come together, that's going to blend that area a little bit, so it won't be so harsh of a line. Okay, now I'm going to add some red in here. Maybe not, oops, I need to clean my red. Wipe off my red. There we go. And overlap my orange just a little bit. Some red on this side. Overlapping my orange. As you can see, I'm pretty much drawing in the same, coloring in the same direction, just so it looks more like a sky. All right, now I'm going to take my orange and go back, and I'm going to color into my red a little bit, and I'm going to blur that line where the two colors meet. I'm going to color over that with orange, and that kind of blurs my line a little bit too, where those two colors are coming together. Color into my red just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to add my green. So I'm going to start up here and I'm going to come down. It's a lighter green, so I'm going to stick kind of where the orange and the yellow are, is more rather than by the red, just because that's a little bit lighter color because of the shade of green that I picked. So I'm going to make a big splotch of green here. And I'm making sure I color into my other colors just a little bit. They don't have to be perfectly round splotches. They can be odd shaped. Okay, so then wherever that color is touching, I want to go back, like right where it's touching the yellow, I want to go back with my yellow and just kind of color and blur that edge of that line. Same with my orange. I'm going to go back over and blur that line just a little bit with my orange. There we go. And the same with my red, because I colored into my red just a little bit. There we go. All right, so now I'm going to use my really pretty turquoise blue. So I'm going to add my blue next to my green, color into my green a little bit. Even down by my red, color into my red just a little bit. Get some big splotches of blue in here. I'm going to take blue right off the top of my paper, making sure I color into my other colors a little bit. You want to overlap those colors. It's a really pretty blue. All right. And I'm going to take my green and go back and just kind of blur that line where my blue and my green are meeting each other. Just kind of blends it a little bit better. And even color into my blue just a little bit. And then I'm going to take my red and do the same where when I colored into my red just a little bit there. Kind of blur those lines. All right, so now I'm going to add some purple. This will be pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and the little bit of white paper I have left, I'm going to fill it in with this really pretty purple. So I'm going to go ahead and color into my blue a little bit. Okay, almost done with adding color. So when you get done, your whole paper should be just filled with really pretty color. You don't want any big white spots of paper showing. You want to have that all filled in. All right, so, and then where I colored into my blue, I'm going to go back with my blue and just blend those edges a little bit, so they're not such a harsh line there. And then even color into my purple a bit. There we go. All right, I'm going to tap off all this extra oil pastel things that are on here, little bits of oil pastel. All right, that's beautiful. Like all that color added on there. Now, this is the fun part. We're going to pour some baby oil into our little container here. Just a little bit there. You don't need a lot. See, I only have a little bit. If you see, I can tip it. You can see I don't have very much in the bottom of that. Less than maybe 1/8 of an inch full. So this is where we're going to use several Q-tips. And I always have a paper towel set aside. I can put my dirty Q-tips. Then it's easier to wrap them up and throw them away when you're done. So what you're going to do is you're going to dip your Q-tip in the oil. You want to kind of rub off the extra so it's not dripping. You want it soaking wet without dripping. So it's not dripping. And then I'm just going to go over. I'm going to start on my paper. And you can start at the top and work your way down if you want, or however you want to do that. I'm going to do that just for it's easier. So I'm going to start with my purple, and I'm just going to go over white oil baby oil all over my picture. And I'm going to roll my Q-tip because I want to use it. I don't want to keep using the same dirty side of my Q-tip for the whole thing. So as the Q-tip fills with color, you're going to want to. So see, now my Q-tip is pretty dirty. I'm going to go ahead and use the other side now. So we're going to use quite a few Q-tips for this. If you're in the same color, not such a big deal. Or you can overlap just a little bit, but then you want to turn it. After a little bit, you want to turn the Q-tip. And then once it's really filled, you're going to discard it and you get a clean one. Wipe off the extra and continue on my way. We're going to do this on the whole paper. And you'll start seeing the oil. Well, the oil in the baby oil is going to dissolve. And it looks like it's melting, but it's dissolving the oil in the oil pastels. And it'll make it look really nice and blended. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my Q-tip. And that one's pretty dirty, so I'm going to get a clean one now. Wipe off the extra. You don't want it so dripping wet that you get your paper is just soaked with baby oil. We just want enough to blend together our oil pastel without soaking our paper. Smells nice. That's the nice thing about baby oil. Gives your picture a pretty smell too. This is a fun way to blend oil pastels together. There'll be one more step that we do it'll get rid of all those little Q-tip marks on the paper. Because as you can see, I have these little Q-tip marks everywhere. I'm going to show you how to get rid of those too. And what you'll see is if you have any white paper showing, it's going to get covered as the oil pastels kind of blends in, and the oil from the baby oil dissolves that oil in the oil pastel. One more Q-tip and I'll be done with this part. There we go. Once you have that fully covered with baby oil, you want to take a paper towel. And what this is going to do, you want to I wrap it around my finger. If you just want to kind of bunch it up and use it like that, you can too. I just find it easier to wrap it around my finger. And you're going to go back through and start at the top and just wipe over your whole paper. It's going to help get rid of those Q-tip marks, and it's going to wipe off any extra oil pastel, and it's actually going to blend in your pastels a little more. And after a couple swipes, you want to get a clean part of your paper towel, otherwise your colors are they're going to blend a lot more than you want them to. All right, almost finished with this. And I'm going to make sure I find a really clean part of this. There we go, to do that yellow. There. A little bit of orange in there, but that's okay. And wipes. You can wipe some of it out with a clean paper towel. There, wow, that's blended nicely. Looks very cool. So once that's finished, we're going to add our details. I'm going to do an island scene just because I like the ocean and islands. And you could do a mountain if you wanted, or a city skyline if you wanted. But I'm just going to stick with the mountain or with the ocean because it's a little bit easier. I think it's easier and it makes more of the sky show. So right now we're going to use a black oil pastel. So and here we're going to just draw some lines and color it in black. So I'm going to start, and I want most of my sky to be showing because that's the whole point of our picture. So I'm actually going to draw in lower on my paper, probably in this part and lower. So most of my paper will be showing. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw a little curved line out like this, and maybe come around like this. And then I'm going to draw another one coming down like this. and around like that. And then I'm going to, and it kind of looks like the one I did up there. I'm going to draw my water line in the distance across there. And now I'm going to color everything in black. And I want to color in pretty heavy black, so you might have to go over it a couple times with black. And here, if you want to change the outline, if you want to adjust it a little bit, it's easier to add black on than to take black away. So always start with the smaller amount and then add more if you want to add more. So I'm going to go ahead and my water, though, I'm only going to add a real light layer. I'm not going to push real heavy because I want it to, it needs to look like water, like the sun is reflecting off the water. So I'm going to just color real lightly, and then I'm going to add some details in a little bit. But my land needs to be dark, so I'm coloring those in really dark. Nice thick black oil pastel. All right. So I want to add a little palm tree, so I'm just going to make a little palm tree kind of bent over on the little island here. And then make my palm branches. Then maybe make some coconuts on my tree there. All right. So once you've got that all filled in nice and thick, there's one more thing we're going to do. I might take my paper towel and just kind of wipe the water area because I want it to look like smooth like water instead of real rough. I don't want it to have a lot of texture. So I'm just going to smooth it out with my paper towel. I'm not going to do that to the land, though, because it looks good the way it is. But I do not want my water to be smooth. There. That looks a lot better. There. All right, so what I'm going to do now is, this is another fun part, is adding some texture to my paper. So what I'm going to do with, I'm going to add a little more black up here just to make it look like the water is behind this land here. There. Oh yeah, that's better. All right, I am going to take my scraping tool and I'm going to scrape some lines in the water. I'm going to go straight across the water and just scrape some lines and then it has that look of water. And you can make them slightly curvy, so maybe the water is moving just a little bit. I've never seen water be perfectly still. It always has some little movement in it. So these lines are creating movement on our water, helping it look like movement. All right, so then on my tree, I might just add some little lines for my palm, or maybe the light is kind of coming through the branches a little bit. Little reflection on my coconuts, and then The tree usually has some lines, some texture in the bark. And then I might just do a little bit on my land, just a little bit, adds a little bit of where the light would be kind of reflecting maybe. All right, there you go. This is a fun project to put make a beautiful sunset sky. I hope you had a lot of fun with this project. You can always snap a picture of it and email it to me. I would love to see your creation. So thank you for joining me for this fun project.